Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl, Stevie Aisha Mills, and I am the I Love My Life strategist. I help women push past their past and begin to loudly and proudly declare, I love my life. Yes. So I am absolutely excited because every week on The Conversation, we bring to you an amazing guest who wakes up and says, I love my life each and every day. And we are here to talk about just the journey of saying that. And our special guest today is a woman who, since I first heard her speak, I was like, she's so prim and so beautiful and so proper, and I just need to know her. I need to have a conversation with her. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Marcia Whyte, founder, chief content officer of GratitudeSpeak, is a speaker, best-selling author, radio host, and life and business coach. Drawing on 30 years of pastoral ministry, her life coaching practice caters to professionals who are stuck in grief and loss, helping them regain their purpose and productivity. Having once enjoyed a lucrative and long-standing sales career, she shows sales professionals how to leverage business relationships for greater revenue. I am here for all that. I love it. So without any further ado, please help me welcome Marcia Whyte to the virtual stage. Marcia, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you just fine, Stevie. Thank you. I'm glad to be with you.
Yes, we are glad to have you. It's so much that we're able to have fun and uncover in this conversation because you have just done some amazing things. You are living just a life that we can all say, I love my life too, and I love it. I love it. It's so inspiring. As we begin to have this conversation today, I want to just allow you to say, what do you attribute the most to being able to say, I love my life?
My faith in God and his faithfulness towards me. And the reason I say that is fairly recently, it's probably 2.5 years now, I did not love my life. I was in a horrible place emotionally and mentally, and it had to do with a devastating loss that I had, and I wasn't sure if I was going to make it out. You know how the word says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death? I wasn't sure if I wasn't going to just pitch a tent and stay there. And I gave myself some time in that valley, and then it was through the work of the Holy Spirit and some family members, and I said, it does not say stay, it says through, and that meant I have to get up and go. And out of that experience, my business, GratitudeSpeak, was born. So that's it. But because God was so faithful, even when I wasn't feeling it, I was able to get up and now have a life that makes me excited and a business that I love and a ministry to share with others that may not be as far along in process as I am. So it's all good.
Amen. And I love that. I love that because I was right where you are, where you were, a few years ago. Probably for me, 2009, I always say that I had my it experience, and everybody's it is different. And so for me, it goes back to that job that I couldn't hardly stand. It goes back to me not knowing what my it factor was. I speak about the it factor, and my book is about the it factor now, but I always tell people the journey to the it factor was one that if I would have known in 2009 what I know now about it, and if I would have yielded to living out my God-given gift, then I would not have been in that place, and I would not have gone through that journey because it was clear that wasn't the right place for me to be, but I didn't have that self-awareness. So I definitely understand what it means to be depressed and not want to love your life. And I think that is absolutely amazing that you said that because so many people won't admit that. that is something that we don't, most women, especially women, because we know how to clean it up, we know how to pretty it up, we know how to.
Absolutely.
Yes, right? And we know how to do that, but we're dying inside. And I know that because you have been a pastor and because you have, and you're a coach now, I know you have some words to say to that.
Yes. Here's the thing. I think that as much as I don't want to admit it or was not even in a place to consider admitting it before, I won't say it was the best thing that happened to me, but I realized I have to look for the lesson in everything. And it's the lesson that makes it worthwhile when you look back on it. When you're going through it, it is not fun. It is not pretty. It is in no way enjoyable. But there is always a bigger purpose to it. And not just for you, the person going through, but for those who you are called to serve. Because I know an old quote, I think it was by Reverend Jesse Jackson, but I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to go with that. You can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you won't go or where you haven't been. And, I'm very clear on the types of clients that I serve and the gifts that I can bring to them, and I also know when to refer out, because what I don't want to do is make promises to people that put them in more pain than they were in when they found me. It was a difficult journey, and some days, I'm not going to lie, it is still a difficult journey because life happens. There are still little triggers. However, if you have certain things in place, certain strategies, certain coping mechanisms, certain tools, and certainly a different not only mindset, but what I call, it's my little special word, heart set, where you can say to yourself in affirmations, whether it's in scripture or whatever it is that, special readings that you have, they will help you maintain until you can get back to that place where you're saying, all right, I'm allowed a bad day, but I'm not going to turn that into a bad life, because life is not easy. It's a delicate balance. We have to navigate it, but somewhere along the way, there are people and places and circumstances that will shore us up for the journey. And that's one of the things that I try to get across to people I work with, whether it's on the business side or the life coaching side, because I'm playing to my strengths. And, Stevie, I'm very, very good at knowing my lane. That's the other thing, But I couldn't have navigated this lane. I don't own it. I couldn't have navigated if I hadn't gone through what I've been through. So there you go. that's pretty much my words of wisdom. But, yeah.
Yeah, what you said was so profound on a lot of different levels. The thing that just resonated with me was that you said, I'm very good at knowing my lane. And that's amazing because some people don't. We try to be a Jill or a jack of all trades. Yeah. And it's important, especially in business, because people are telling you to niche down, make it clear and make it just amazing so that you can find your riches in the niches, right? And so what you said is that you know your niche. That's what it translates to in the business world. So where did that come from? Did you always know what you were born to do? Did you always know your purpose? Or did that come from just, okay, great, let's talk about that.
Well, I figured that through meditation and prayer and a lot of self-searching, sometimes you just have to have, God will put you in a place where all you can do is look up. And then he says, all right, now that you are still and quiet long enough for me to have your undivided attention, let's talk, because I got a few things I want to say to you. And so he put me in a couple of those situations. And I was really struggling. And he said, play to your strengths. And I had to figure out what that meant for me because I wanted to be confident in it. I had long since given up being comfortable which is different. But I also wanted to make sure that I brought a level of competence, so that when people pay me, they get what they pay for and then some. Now, having said that, let me give you a little bit of the backstory. In 2014, my husband got very ill, and he too was a pastor at the time, and we went through quite a lot of changes with that. But one of the catalysts for where I am right now was a conversation we had because, in the introduction, you were kind enough to share that, I had a lucrative and long-standing sales career. What that basically meant was, yes, I made money, but I made the company I worked for a lot more money. And it was almost 11 years. And when I called basically to say, look, this is what I'm going through right now, with my husband and whatnot, and I may need some grace with upcoming deadlines, I got a very rude awakening. It's kind of like that Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? They said, you want to just slow down because somebody in your family got sick? And I realized then, though it wasn't quite, what was going through my mind was not quite as eloquent as I'm talking about it now, but it was, I guess in business, the bottom line really is all about the bottom line. And it's not about people. And I didn't want anyone else to feel like that if I could help it, which is why I incorporate corporate morale enhancement trainings in one aspect of my business. But I had a conversation with my husband, and I told him, because I didn't want him to worry about the bills, because you and I both know, and I'm sure that your listeners do too, doesn't matter what you're going through, your creditors could care less, all right? They're like, we feel sorry for you. However, there's the matter of your outstanding balance. And so I wanted to hold that, space of not having to worry for him. And he said, when I told him, he was calm, and he said, it's not served you in a long time. I've seen it, but you didn't recognize it. He said, figure out what it is that you're supposed to do. Play to your strengths. And he said, and I say that in my book, trust your gut, trust the process, and trust God. And even to this day, those words stay with me. And I did, and I searched my heart. And then just a few weeks after that conversation, he lost the battle. And, I was like, really? What do I do now? But, with time and prayer and whatnot, I found my purpose and my calling. And so now I play to my strengths, and I help others find theirs and or get them back, reclaim them. So I'm very, very happy with that. So, as good as it looks now, it hasn't always been that way. But I'm thankful for the journey. I'm thankful for the lessons learned. I just really wish there could have been a different vehicle, but, it wasn't to be, so I made the best of the hand that was dealt me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is an amazing conversation, because I'm sure that, the listeners and myself, we could listen to you all day just because the tonality of your voice. Like, I feel calmer. I feel like we doing some yoga. we doing some, we have some tea. It blesses me. It blesses me in a way that's just amazing. That's why you'll hear me during the course of this conversation just really give it a little bit of time after you speak, because I know my voice is very different. Mine is very hey, what are we doing? But we need the tonality that you're bringing. So it's not that I'm not here or that I'm not listening. I'm definitely just speaking that in for a few more seconds. But yes,
that's okay. Okay. And I really am not trying to sound all wise and wizardly and, all knowing. It's just, I'm older than you, and I've learned a few things about a few things, and it's interesting because my youngest daughter, who is also an entrepreneur, and I'm so terribly proud of her, and when she listens to me on my broadcast or when I'm speaking and training, and she's like, Mom, your voice goes back to pastoral mode, and I don't even know if you're aware of it. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you're so different at home. I'm like, oops. I have to make sure that I speak as calmly and kindly. Charity begins at home and spreads abroad. So I try to make sure that I watch my tone, and most times I think I get it right. But, when you're at home, sometimes it slips out. But thank you for the compliment.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So let's talk about this whole sales thing, right?
Okay.
I love it because you do sales coaching. You have a sales background, and that is the area that a lot of entrepreneurs don't know. We don't know how to sell, or we're afraid of selling, or we have this fear of selling. So what are some tips and strategies that you think can be easily implemented through entrepreneurship so that we can get to the next level in our sales?
Okay. Well, that's a very interesting question. And I struggled with that for a while until I realized that, first off, you have to believe in two things. You have to believe in whatever it is that you're selling. And if you don't have your own experiences when you're new, do enough research on the results that your company gets, for whoever you're selling to, so that you believe in that. So you can convincingly say, that you represent the brand well, whatever the brand is. But more than that, you have to believe in yourself. Because if you are not aligned with if what you're doing, if you're free enough to make that choice, I know jobs are, hard out here sometimes for people, but if you are fortunate enough to have a job that you like or a position that you are, really enjoying, if you can align yourself, make sure that you're in alignment. And what does that mean? Let me give you an example, and then I'll show you what happened to me once when I was early in my sales career. The example of not being in alignment and just taking a job in sales for the sake of it. How many times have any of your listeners or you been in a big box store, and as I was one day, running through the center aisle, and they will have these people from, cable companies or alarm companies or things like that. And I had a particularly rough experience, unpleasant experience. And I teach on customer service, all right, networking, follow-up, the customer experience, relationship marketing, that, because I know what it feels like to be on the other side, and I don't like it. And so I was talking to a young man, and he was, trying to tell me about his service. And I said, son, I don't mean to be rude, but I've had the services of your company, and you could not pay me enough to come back because the customer service commitment was not where it needed to be. I said, in fact, if I can be really raw, your customer service sucks. And I'll never forget his response. Stevie, I promise you, with God as my witness, he held up his hand for a high five at me and said, I know, right? And I thought it floored me. And, honey, people that know me know there's very seldom that I am speechless. But what was going through my mind is, are you kidding me? How do you stand here and represent something that you don't even believe in? So I say that to press the point. If you're in a place, now he may have just needed the money, you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to get there to pay your bills to position you to do or to find where you ultimately are intended to be. But I thought that was so sad. I really did. Because obviously he had no connection to the company, no loyalty, no understanding of it, or how it could play out. There was no, I'm sorry that happened to you. Obviously that's not my wheelhouse, my department. However, You know, if you ever think about it, I'd love to talk to you more, or something like that. He was just like, yeah, I know, right? Okay. The other thing, so you have to be in alignment, because if you can't represent that well, how can you convince me that I need it or it's going to be a good fit for me? The second part of that equation is when I was very new starting on that sales career, I did not have a lot of experience with that formal sales, and I'll make the difference in that in just a second as my next point. But when we had what we called status reports, where we could show results in similar industries to whoever we were presenting to, okay? And so when I got towards the end of the conversation, as I was wrapping up for the close, or as we called it, going in for the kill, you know, I would just show them report after report after report. And one person asked me, I remember it was a gentleman, but he said, how long have you been with the company? And I said, you know, why do you ask? He said, because you just seem very rote, you know, because I wasn't really connected with it because I hadn't been there very long. And I said, well, honestly, I've only been here a few weeks, but let me ask you a question, sir. If the company has been around, even though I'm new, the results aren't new, wouldn't that be worth the risk of giving us a try? And he said, you know what, I like you. He said, I thought you were just going to bluster your way through it. And I got the sale because I was honest, you know. So the thing is, even if you don't have a long-standing tenure with the company enough that you can believe in everything that they do, if you know if there's evidence that it's a good company, it does what it says it's going to do, it fulfills its promises, then you can wholeheartedly represent that. But then the other part is be true to you, because really people are buying you. They're buying your personality, they're buying your enthusiasm, they're buying your attitude about what you're selling. That doesn't mean you have to be a cheerleader, you know, but you do have to make it seem to the prospective client that it's worth their time to meet with you, because they have given you a priceless commodity. You can never reclaim time. You can make more money. You know, you can try to do over some mistakes in terms of changing behavior, but you cannot get back time. So when people are kind enough, and in business it is a privilege to, I don't mean you have to bow down and kiss anybody's feet, but when you are taking someone's time or they are giving that gift to you, you need to honor that. Be prepared and understand, here's the last part of that. Understand that we are all in sales. I don't care what you do. Even when I was pastoring or preaching regularly, I was, quote unquote, selling the gospel to people. Not in the sense that I was trying to pimp God out, but I'm trying to make people, make the offer, make the person, the entity that I represent attractive enough to have somebody come and join it. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And you've got to do that, you know, and it's a business. Even the church is a business. There are thousands and thousands upon thousands of churches that you could choose to go to, right? So you have to, everybody has a brand, and the whole thing that I believe in is helping people to stand out from the crowded marketplace and make more money. What is it about you that will attract people to you? And so, yeah, I'm definitely understanding what you're saying. And what I heard from the two examples that you shared just now was that there has to be a buy-in. There has to be a buy-in.
Yes.
Even when people, you know, on a dating relationship, or I've never been married, not yet. God is sending him, praise Jesus. But I haven't been married, but I do know for sure that I've been in some relationships dating. We had to sell each other on each other, and then when the relationship was over, we had to still sell the next mate, the next boyfriend, you know, and it's still like, so you're always selling. I think people just have to remove it from their mindset that is scary to sell. If you have a great opportunity and you believe in it, then people should want to invest in it, and that's going on with the right people. So,
you can be in sales without being salesy.
That's right.
I think that's where people, I think that's where people get mixed up. And that's why a lot of people have problems even with the church or with the religion, because we overcomplicate the gospel. The gospel is very simple. And when Jesus said, love one another, he did not say, love does not mean I got to hang out with you. We got to be road dogs all the time, up in each other's faces like salt and pepper. It just means that I have to care enough about you as an individual that's living and breathing like me not to want to bring you any harm. That's all that is. But we want to make it about liking everybody. No. So, you can be just like you can love without liking, you can sell without being salesy. I think that's the biggest thing that I can share, just off the top of my head, because I'm tired. That's the other reason why I started the business coaching, because I really talk about leveraging relationships. But first we have to get you in line with the relationship aspect of business so that, your clients continue to stay, they refer, they give you reviews, and you make revenue, consistently. That's the point. But if you don't get that, I can't really help you. So you have to come in with an open mind. And so that's an important piece of it. And I genuinely love what I do, but I believe in the sales profession, and it really pains me when people don't understand it because of the abuse. I mean, I understand when you've been abused or hurt by something that you're reluctant to do it twice, because Jesus did not say be a doormat. But you also have to stand in your truth and let the people who hurt you take responsibility instead of you bearing that shame. Okay? And so when you buy into, just like the gospel, you buy into your company, you buy into yourself. And you make it your own, because people are really wanting to connect with you. But if you're not connecting to them and you ain't connected to whatever the brand is, it's not going to work, and you're not going to be successful. So there you have it.
Wow. This has been an amazing conversation. I can't believe we're only a few minutes left. Oh, my gosh. It goes by fast. I always tell people time flies when you're having fun. So
absolutely.
I do want to have you talk a little bit about your book before we get on out of here. So tell us about the book.
Okay. The book is called GratitudeSpeak, which is one word, because I believe that that gratitude is a language and practice all its own. And you have, like, if you're in computers, you have coding. That's a language. If you're in medical, you have medical jargon. If you're in law, you have legalese. Well, gratitude speak, because you just incorporate it into it. And so it's called GratitudeSpeak, after my company, from loss to leadership, because that is my journey. That is what started me on the process of the business coaching side. Though I always, in the back of my mind, knew when I started it that the end game for me would be something to deal with grief. Now, when I talk about, the loss to leadership, people are stuck in their productivity. People are stuck in their stuff. And sometimes that comes out in poor job performance, lack of interest, lack of energy. I'm not a licensed clinical therapist. I am a minister, trained, but I can take you so far. And then you can make a determination as to go into, whatever the next step is for you. But I want to get you back to a point where you are productive and confident and competent maximally. so that not only do you keep your job, which helps you work through whatever the loss is, and let me say this, loss is not just about grieving the death of a loved one. It can be you didn't do well you didn't get the promotion, you got downsized, you had a bad breakup or a divorce, or whatever the situation may be. Wherever you are, if it is affecting your productivity, I'd love you to read the book. It really is a very quick. It's called a quick read. It's about 20 pages, and it really just gives you the backstory of my brand and what you can expect when you want to work with me. And I try to live that out every day.
Awesome.
It's available on Amazon. Yeah, it's available. It's available on Amazon. I think it's still at 99 cents. I don't know if it'll be going up anytime soon, but I just wrote it from my heart, and I hope that it encourages somebody.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. If I feel like I have the book, but I'm gonna double check to make sure that I have it. If not, I will definitely be purchasing it. And what was I going to ask you next? The next thing I need to really have you do is to just talk to us about anything that we haven't had a chance to explore that God has put on your heart. I want you to say those things, and then I also want to give you the opportunity to let us know how we can stay in contact with you.
Okay. Well, all I want to say is the best advice, the best comments that I can leave you with is don't ever forget that no matter where you are in your journey, it is never too soon, nor is it too late to change some things for the better, for your greater good and for those you are called to serve. And everyone on this planet is called to serve someone. I put a graphic on, I'm all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find me at GratitudeSpeak. On Facebook, I'm at Marcia Whyte-biz. But the graphic that I made just had a picture of a weekly calendar, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, I think it had all 7 days. And the point was, someday is not on here. It's not a real day. So start doing whatever it is right now. We make too many excuses. We waste so much time procrastinating, putting off, and tomorrow's not promised. Do what you can do to leave a legacy through sales, through business, through working in your community, just by being decent to the people in your home. And remember that there's always a reason and an opportunity to show kindness and give gratitude. So make it your mission to do just that. There you go.
Perfect. And so you just told us what we need to glean from, and you just told us how we can contact you. And I am absolutely excited about this conversation. We thank you for stopping by and having a conversation with us, because we learned a lot. We learned about, sales. We learned about just being grateful. We learned about just being in the moment and doing it and knowing that someday is not a day on the calendar, and we have to do it now. We have to get over what has been done in the past and prepare for what is to be done today. So I definitely appreciate you for being here, and I cannot wait to really just see what's coming next. And I definitely think you need to, this is my marketing, I definitely think you need to do some meditation type of thing. I don't know if you've ever thought about that as far as like a meditation retreat or something, but I think that would be awesome, because people could just, not that you put people to sleep, that's not what I'm saying, but there's a calmness in your voice, and everybody doesn't have that, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And so
Thank you.
You are so welcome.
I'll have to give that some careful consideration. God has put on my heart to do another book or two, and one of them is probably going to deal with meditation or devotionals for entrepreneurs and small business owners, because we need to keep ourselves encouraged.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do that. Do an
So maybe
audio
I'll do an
book.
audible version.
Yeah, there's confirmation. That's confirmation. See, we got the scoop, y'all. We got the scoop. We're going to support that book, and we're going to listen to it, and we're going to be in the Zen zone. We are going to be in the Zen Jesus zone. Thank God. So, yes, we look forward to that. We look forward to that. You're so welcome. And so, everybody, what did you say?
I just said, all right.
Yes. Everybody, it has been my pleasure to bring you another episode of The Conversation. I am Stevie Aisha Mills, the I Love My Life strategist, where I help women push past their past and loudly and proudly declare I love my life. If you want to connect with me, you only have to know how to spell my first name, Stevii, and I guarantee you that you can find me everywhere, Stevie.com, and you can find me on social media using my name. Not too many people have that spelling, so you'll find me. I also want to invite you to the next experience that we have. We don't have just an event, we have a whole experience. So get excited about that. And if you have not become a member of I Love My Life Ambassadors, it is an amazing community where we connect, collaborate, and change together. Right now, the membership is at a low and exclusive price rate, so you definitely want to inbox me to find out what that is, because we are doing some amazing things, and we're only taking 50 women this year. So get excited about having a community where you can grow in and believe in and get encouraged to your next dimension in. So, guys, again, I always tell you to make it a great day. I never say have a great day. I say make it a great day. Why? Because you, and yes, you have the power to do so. Bye for now.